photographer, have you ever wanted to edit your photos without having to do the work manually? Maybe you just wanted to be able to describe what you wanted to happen and have it happen inside of your photos to make retouching easier for your photo shoots, for your weddings, for your events, and more. Well, now Adobe's new AI generator, Firefly, is building out the ability to do that. And in the future, they're going to be integrating it with Photoshop and the other Adobe Suite apps. Today, we're breaking down exactly how you can be doing this. But the question that's coming up, if you've been paying attention, is will using AI to retouch our photos going to negate our copyright of those images and take away the validation of the protection we have by creating that content? Today, we're talking to everybody's favorite IP and entertainment lawyer, Tony, to break down why you can or maybe can't be using this and if you're going to be protected with it. Let's jump in.
My name is Tony Oikastis. I'm an adjunct professor of entertainment law and IP at New York Law School, and I have an Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok account called The IP Professor that is dedicated to all things intellectual property.
This week, Adobe has announced a brand new tool that they are going to roll out in beta right now that could potentially impact how we are editing, retouching, and working with photos and other content. This new tool is called Firefly, and it is going to allow us to not only create content, but to retouch and manipulate content we've already created. Now, as a full-time photographer, I want to talk a little bit about the implications on the photography world. So when it comes to creating content that the photographers have created, so photos that they have shot during a photo shoot, a wedding, etc., do we have the ability legally to use AI to retouch some of these in small ways? We're not talking about massive adjustments, but changing a shadow, changing the coloring in the background of a photo. Are we going to then be able to have that copyright protected and retain that? Or, Tony, do you think this is going to potentially kick out our copyright because we know that if AI touches something, it could potentially lose its ability to be copyrighted? What does this look like for us?
Yeah, this is a fantastic question. So I think one important thing to note is that when you make any work of authorship, albeit a photo, video, anything, that work of authorship automatically creates a copyright. So the moment you click the shutter on your camera, you are the photographer. As a photographer, you are the copyright owner. Now, what Cam is alluding to is the whole essence of copyright registration. And we've talked about this in previous videos where the Copyright Office, the US Copyright Office, has essentially had a zero tolerance policy on AI-generated artwork, AI-generated works, period, that are attempting to be registered as copyrighted works in the US Copyright Office. The position that the US Copyright Office has historically taken, at least over the course of the last year or so that we know of, is that anything that has been created by artificial intelligence is incapable of getting copyright registration, mainly because it lacks the human authorship requirement that is essential to being a copyrighted work, period. So in a situation like this where you're a photographer and you're taking a photo and then you use the AI as a way to just touch it up a little bit, I actually think that this is the inverse of what we've commonly seen in the copyright space with AI, anything AI created. I keep citing to it over and over. If you're tired of hearing it, my apologies. I'm saying it one more time. It's the Chris Casanova case that just went down recently in the US Copyright Office. She's an illustrator who made a graphic novel called Zarya of the Dawn that includes her own dialogue. She wrote the script, the whole cells and everything. It's just that the artwork that is contained within this graphic novel was animated using Midjourney, and she attempted to register this entire work as a copyrighted work in the US Copyright Office. In September or October of 2022, the US Copyright Office erroneously granted copyright protection. And I use that word erroneously because then later on, a few weeks later, the U.S. Copyright Office then retracted the registration. And they realized that either she disclaimed or she didn't really clearly disclaim that the artwork was not created by an author, but was rather created using artificial intelligence. So the Copyright Office evaluated it, and just at the start of this year, the Copyright Office determined that the dialogue that she wrote, the prologues, anything that she wrote out text-wise belongs to Casanova. However, all the artwork, while it was touched up slightly, according to her, with Photoshop, that is not capable of getting copyright protection because still, even if you touch up something as a human author that is largely created by artificial intelligence, that is not satisfying the substantial human authorship requirement in the Copyright Office. The reason why I'm bringing that up is because this hypothetical that Cam's brought up is the entire inverse of that. You created the art, you created the work, you took the photo, and now you're using AI as a means to touch it up minorly. In my eyes, at least as somebody who has been in the space for close to 10 years and as an educator for 4 years, I confidently believe that this is the kind of thing that would get copyright protection. The reason why is because I think this is where the Copyright Office would have to determine that, one, there is substantial human involvement when a human photographer is behind the camera pressing the shutter and taking the picture. But then number two, they have to bear in mind that the use of AI is essentially just a tool, probably no different than what you commonly see with other people, where they go on their phone, right? They go on their phone all the time. They go onto platforms like, Facetune or Photoleap, and they, edit it and touch it up a little bit to make it a bit cleaner. In this case, you're just having the artificial intelligence by way of prompts doing the touch ups for you. That touch up is probably going to be like a few percentage points, right? Like maybe 25% max, unless you're asking it to do something extremely drastic, then maybe that could be a bit of a problem. But if you're asking it to like touch up the shadows, maybe change the exposure a little bit, maybe even touch up contrast, something minor like that, I still think would not be something that would negate copyright registration. But of course, we haven't seen something like that, at least to my knowledge, come up. So it's something that would be very, very important and very interesting to see. It's just really going to boil down to whether or not the U.S. Copyright Office would see the use of AI as a touch-up, as touching up origin works, if they would see that as a tool, or again, still have this whole zero tolerance policy for AI, period, that it's never going to get copyright protection if it was even touched up with AI. That's something that's yet to be seen.
And if you are a photographer, we have lots of tutorials on how to work with Adobe. We've got lots of upcoming tutorials on how to use Firefly inside of what you are creating as a photographer. And we will be bringing you breaking news in the legal side of this as these court cases start to roll out, so that you know exactly what you can and cannot do. For now, let us know, are you interested in Firefly? Because this is one of the minimal things that they are putting into this tool to allow us to create and to design inside of this AI tool. Let us know what you're interested in. Let us know what you're excited about, and if you are going to test it down below. If you've got questions on the legal side of this, go ahead and drop those for us. And as always, you can hang out with Tony on his social media. So Tony, where can everyone find you online?
You can find me on Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok at the IP Professor. And you can check out my brand new entertainment law podcast called Unseen on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to podcasts.
So photographers, this could be a game changer for us. This is going to make wedding imagery or events or even our portraiture so much easier. And of course, there will be some restrictions to this, some things that are going to work a little bit better, and they are just building out the tool right now. So it's not available right this second because everything's in beta, but stay tuned. Subscribe, hit that notification bell, because the second that this is available to us, I'm breaking down exact specific tutorials on how you can be using this to use each and every feature inside of your photos ethically and legally to level up what you're doing and save time and effort creating the content so you can make more money from those photo shoots, but have less of a headache having to manually fix everything. If you got questions on this, drop them down below, and make sure you follow along because we're daily dropping videos to help you navigate the world of your social media marketing, content creation, tools, and techniques that will save you time and effort. And we're going to talk all about how you can make more money online while you're spending less time doing it. We'll see you in the next episode.